Winter mornings in Finland, children arrive at school carrying snow on their boots. They step inside quietly. Jackets come off. Shoes line the walls near the entrance. And in some schools, students continue the rest of the day in socks. The classrooms don't look the way many people expect schools to look. There are rugs instead of rigid rows, beanbags instead of hard plastic chairs, large windows pulling pale Nordic light into quiet spaces, where teachers are called by their first names. For years, the world looked at scenes like these and saw something close to educational perfection. A school system without constant pressure, without endless testing, without children being turned into machines, and somehow it still worked. Or at least, it used to. Back in the early 2000s, Finland became an international obsession. Its students were ranking near the top of global education charts. Politicians flew in to study the system. Journalists called it revolutionary. Parents everywhere kept hearing the same story. Finnish children spent fewer hours in school than many students around the world, yet still outperformed them academically. The country rejected many of the ideas modern education systems were built around. Very little standardized testing, minimal homework, almost no private school competition, and unusually high trust in teachers. In Finland, becoming a teacher was difficult. Every teacher needed a master's degree. The profession carried status, authority, respect. And unlike countries where students spent childhood preparing for high-stakes exams, Finnish schools appeared calm, human, almost strangely relaxed. At one point, Finland became more than a successful country. It became a global fantasy, but something has changed. Quietly, slowly, enough that even people inside Finland have started asking uncomfortable questions. Over the last decade, the country's international test scores have declined steadily. Math performance weakened, reading scores dropped, and conversations around Finnish education started changing tone. Not celebration. Concern. The strange thing is, the schools themselves still look peaceful. Students still report lower stress than many children elsewhere. There's still less homework, less pressure, less obsession with rankings, which makes the situation harder to understand. How can a system still feel so stable, while confidence in it slowly weakens? Part of the answer may be sitting inside the classrooms themselves. Over the last several years, Finland embraced digital learning aggressively. Tablets replaced textbooks in some schools. More lessons moved onto screens. The country wanted modern classrooms for a modern generation. But now, some teachers are beginning to push back. One Finnish town recently moved away from digital-heavy teaching and returned to physical textbooks after years of screen-based learning. Teachers described students struggling to concentrate, rushing through assignments just to open another browser tab, losing focus during even short readings. One educator admitted that some children now consider reading 2 pages too long. And suddenly the conversation around Finnish education stopped being about freedom and started becoming about attention. Because attention may be the real crisis underneath all of this. Not chaos, not violence, not collapsing schools. Something quieter. Children physically present in classrooms, but mentally somewhere else. Finland's system was never designed around strict enforcement. It depended heavily on self-direction. Students were expected to manage freedom responsibly. The culture trusted children early. In many schools, students move around independently from a young age. Some have flexible schedules. Teachers intervene less aggressively than in more rigid systems. For years, that philosophy was admired around the world. Now critics are beginning to wonder whether modern technology has changed the equation completely, because freedom inside a digital environment does not always produce curiosity. Sometimes it produces distraction. Teachers themselves are also describing a profession that feels more emotionally demanding than before. Not necessarily harder academically, heavier emotionally. Many now say they act as teachers, mentors, counselors, and emotional support figures simultaneously. One educator reflected that children increasingly seem desperate for adult attention because so much of modern life now happens through screens. And maybe that's part of what makes this story so complicated. The Finnish system wasn't built for the internet age. It was built around trust, human interaction, patience, long attention spans, community stability, and those things are becoming harder to maintain almost everywhere. Even the architecture began changing. Some Finnish schools removed traditional classroom walls entirely. Open learning spaces replaced enclosed rooms. The idea sounded progressive, flexible, collaborative, but not every teacher agreed. Some described the spaces as exhausting, fragmented, difficult to manage. A few older educators reportedly left rather than continue adapting to the new model. That detail matters, because it reveals something deeper happening underneath the statistics. Even Finland seems uncertain about what education should look like now. And yet, many of the qualities people admired about Finnish schools still exist. Children still spend more time outdoors than students in many countries. School meals remain free. Homework is still relatively light. Play is still considered important. In some classrooms, young children still gather in circles while teachers begin the morning not with a test, but with emotional check-ins. That version of Finland is real, but so is the growing anxiety underneath it. And maybe that's why this story matters far beyond one country, because Finland represents a question many societies are struggling to answer. What should schools actually optimize for? Academic dominance? Mental well-being? Discipline? Creativity? Equality? Can a country preserve childhood without falling behind in a hyper-competitive world? No education system has fully solved that balance. Not South Korea. Not America. Not Finland. There's also another tension quietly growing beneath the surface. Finland built its education system around equality. The idea that every child deserves the same quality education regardless of background. But some critics now argue the system became so focused on keeping everyone together that exceptional students are no longer pushed hard enough. One professor warned that gifted students sometimes end up helping weaker classmates instead of being challenged themselves. It's an uncomfortable debate, because the moment a system starts prioritizing excellence too aggressively, pressure rises, competition rises, stress rises. But when a system becomes too relaxed, motivation can disappear too. And Finland now seems caught somewhere in the middle. Outside many Finnish schools, winter darkness arrives early. Children step back into the cold carrying backpacks almost too small to notice. The classrooms remain calm. The hallways remain orderly. The system still looks gentler than much of the world. But beneath that calmness, something feels unsettled. For years, people looked at Finland and believed they were seeing the future of education. Now even Finland seems unsure what that future is supposed to be.